welcome to another Cleverdix podcast. In this podcast, we talk to Ben Clavel. Duncan and I met Ben when him and a couple of other Aussies came over to do some cold swimming in Alexandra. We talked to Ben about how his kids were his inspiration for starting to swim and what he gets from swimming. He did a relay across the English Channel, so we talk about that and also a little bit about his ice swimming. Ben is really supportive of other swimmers, his kids and other people as well. It was a really good chat. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it.
Well, welcome to another Cleverdix podcast. In this podcast, we're talking to Ben Clavel. Is that how you pronounce your surname?
Yeah, it is, Jim. Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. We've had a couple of cracking names come through this place. So, thanks for joining us, Ben. So, Duncan and I met Ben at the ice swimming Oceania Championships a little while ago in Alexandria. He came all the way over from Australia, so we thought it'd be really good to have a chat with him. So, Ben, we normally start this sort of process off by just giving you an opportunity to tell us your swimming story and sort of, have you been swimming all your life or how you got into it and sort of where it's taken you from there, and we'll probably get a whole bunch of ideas that we can sort of chat about after that. So, yeah, what's your swimming story?
So my swimming story is my kids. My kids have been involved in swimming since they were young. And as you know, club life is all about parents getting involved and running, helping run the clubs and things like that. So it wasn't long after my kids started that I found myself as the president of our club. Amongst a heap of other people on the committee, doing the day-to-day things for, the club, so that our kids can have the opportunity to be able to swim competitively. As you know, we come from Broken Hill, and Broken Hill's in the outback, so it's really difficult for kids to be able to have that opportunity to be able to swim against other kids, or if it's not, it takes us a long time to get anywhere. So we're a really close club, and the parents, we all get on really well, and it's sort of a just a fun place to be around, and part of that is that we've all been watching our kids develop and, do really well in their swimming and become good friends and stuff like that. And after a period of time, you become the coach as well as everything else. And, it's a lot to do with putting your money where your mouth is, really, is what it comes down to. Here you are telling these kids to try harder, to push harder, knowing full well that you haven't done the hard yards yourself. So it's one of those things that you feel obligated to get in and have a go yourself. First of all, to understand what you're talking about, and then secondly of all, to show these kids that you're not all talk. So that started a few years ago. I've had my own journey, which I'm happy to talk to you about. In a professional manner, and I found that when I got in the water, the swimming was actually really good. I could sort of get into my own zone and just get into a rhythm. As they say, you never regret a swim. So by the end of my swim, I'd had either my day mapped out in my head, and or I'd had whatever I was thinking about clearer in my head, and in the meantime, I was starting to knock over some Ks, and I think I started at maybe 1 kilometre, and I was pretty happy with that. And each lap or two, you'd pull up and have a bit of a breather, and then the next thing you're up to 3 Ks, and you're starting to think, oh, I quite enjoy this, and I could do something about this. And I've got a friend in the club. His name's Brendan Cullen, and he's a farmer from out this way, who decided one day that he just wanted to become a swimmer. And so he got in touch with our club, and he's he'd probably hate me saying this, but now he's 50 years old. And at the time, obviously a lot older than our club kids, but he came in and jumped in the pool with these kids. And the next thing you know, he swam the English Channel, which is amazing. For a bloke who's never been a swimmer, but has the heart of a lion, to show these kids, to show the parents that this is something that's within grasp of anyone who just puts the effort in, was really inspiring. And I became a great friend of Brendan's and followed his journey. And of course, as soon as he got back from swimming in the English Channel, he said, "Would you like to swim the English Channel?" And I thought, wow, this is. I thought he was joking, but I haven't done a solo. I'll put it out there now. But he did say, "Look, would you be interested in doing a relay swim?" And that's really where my swimming journey started. So obviously, I agreed to that. And swam, consistently and trained for a year with a group of other people. We were scattered throughout the world. So our team came from England, Australia, and within Australia, they came from Adelaide, in the outback here in Broken Hill. And you met Peter when we were over there in New Zealand, and she comes from about 6 or 7 hours away from where we live. And so last year we all got together and met in the UK, and we did an English Channel relay, which took us 13 hours and 15 minutes, which was basically the highlight of my swimming career, if you can call it a career, because I'd never been a swimmer before that. And having met Peter, I found her story really inspiring as well. And I found out that she was an ice swimmer, which again was a completely foreign concept. But I read and did a bit of research on what she'd done. Then she went to the Worlds and all that kind of stuff. And we started training out here throughout the winter. So my first experience with cold water swimming was about 14 degrees, which I thought was the coldest thing I've ever experienced in my life. And you know what it's like when you first get in. It slaps you on the face a couple of times, and then you suddenly realise where you are. And then after thinking you're going to die, it sort of just settles in, and you just feel amazing. And I got addicted to that straight away. Yes, the swimming itself was a really good way for me to be able to, to get my mind and, my affairs in order in my head. But the ice or the cold water swimming took it to another level. So when Peter said, "Do you want to come to New Zealand?" I said, "Yeah, definitely. Just sign me up." And then the journey from there was about 12 months of consistent swimming in the pool, with ice baths and just any sort of exposure to the cold that I could get.
That's cool. I mean, Australia is probably not where you think of for getting cold water swimming going. Yeah.
Exactly, which I think is part of the appeal in itself. Is that you look at where I live, and then you chuck in the mix ice swimming, and it just doesn't make any sense at all. And that's why I love it. I think it's great.
Hey, Ben, just two things from my side quickly. Firstly, that was 9.5 minutes as an intro. I think you've broken our record, so well done on that, Ben. That's for those of the listeners like myself, where from an Australian perspective, where's Broken Hills located? Is it coastal? Is it inland?
Okay,
give us a bit of a description.
Sydney?
Yep.
Nowhere near there. So, mate, look, you'd call it probably Central Australia. It's on the edge of Central Australia. So Sydney is our capital for our state. And our state borders another state called South Australia, and Broken Hill is right on the border. If you sort of put towns in the mix that you might have heard of, Cooper Pedy, Birdsville.
What's the size of the population?
Of Broken Hill, we've got 18,000 people.
Okay.
So it is a decent sized town. So Broken Hill is the oldest mining town in Australia. It was founded in the 1870s. It's the birthplace of BHP, which is the well-known mining company in Australia. It's still an active mine. There are 2 mines here in Broken Hill that blast. They're underground and they blast every day at 6:45 a.m. and 6:45 p.m. and it's like a mini earthquake twice a day. And they are still pulling out lead and zinc from Broken Hill. We've got a really, really great purity of those minerals here, and the byproduct is silver. So they call us the Silver City. That's what we're known for. We're known for a town in the middle of nowhere that's got a big pile of dirt in the middle, because basically what they do is that they pull out the dirt from underneath the ground and then they dump it in the middle of town, and that's called the skip dump. And the whole town is built around this pile of dirt. And, that's Broken Hill.
I sort of come from a bit of a mining family. My grandfather was a miner in Africa. So, what you're talking about, I understand.
Yeah, it's the birthplace of Mad Max as well. So all the Mad Max films were filmed around Broken Hill.
Okay, now we're talking. Now we can relate. Yeah. Gotcha. So how old are your kids, Ben?
So I've got 3 boys. My eldest boy is 17, just about to turn 18, and really exciting. You'll hear it here first. He got accepted into uni today, which was amazing.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Oh, make you pretty proud.
Yeah. So he got early entry into university, which we're really proud of him. So he'll be going to Sydney next year to do a film and television degree at Macquarie University, which is really cool. And then my second boy is Cohen, and he's 15 years old. And then my third boy is Eamon, and he's 13. So they're all swimmers. However, Austin, the eldest, and Eamon, the youngest, could take it or leave it. But my middle boy is very, very competitive and has his sights on maybe doing something with swimming in the future.
Nice, man. So I take it for granted that he possibly kicks your ass.
Yeah, big time.
Nice.
I was doing the maths last night as to what my 100 pace is compared to his 100, and it's not worth talking about.
I can relate. Yeah, cool, man. Okay, so Ben, from a occupation perspective, from what I understand, you used to be in the police force, or possibly still are. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, no, I'm retired from the police. I retired in 2021.
Cool.
So, as far as my occupation is at the moment, I do test and tagging. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's just appliance test and tagging. It's a fairly simple job, but it's a world away from what I was doing in the police. I did the police for 22 years. So I'm really enjoying the different sorts of work.
Nice.
It's great.
It'd be a bit less stressful, I'm guessing.
Yeah, a lot less stressful, which is the reason why ultimately I retired. I retired on medical grounds. It's one of those things, gents. Playing first grade football is a bit like policing. It's a young man's sport. It's the greatest game on earth. A bit like rugby. But when it's your time, it's your time. And I played the game pretty hard. But I knew it was my time to move on, and I'm very, very at peace with that.
So I'm going to jump in for a second, and I'm not going to mention my mate's name because you'll never forgive me either. But he's a British dude. He's been a detective here in New Zealand for so close to 20 years. And there was a little incident probably about 2 years ago now where he went, to the local school to pick up his kids from school. And he noticed like something dodgy going on down one of the roads.
Yeah.
And what had happened was somebody had advertised on Trade Me to sell their iPhone, and the guy had arrived to buy the iPhone, and he grabbed the iPhone and he bolted down the street, right? So Martin, my mate, chasing him down the road, and his wife drove past with the kids, right? And basically how they describe it afterwards, it was like he was doing slow motion running after this dude.
Yep.
So we always laugh, and he's like, "Yeah, man, the dude was like 18, and I'm like 48. Don't rag me." But yeah, definitely a young man's game, right? It's
mate,
not easy, man.
Well, my running was look, I think I was pretty famous for my running in the police. If I didn't win in the first 2 meters, they got away. Maybe that's why I took up swimming.
So the other thing that you mentioned, which I think most of our listeners will be able to relate to, is that when you get into the water, you got nobody to listen to. You got no conversations going on, and there's some real nice quiet time to get your headspace right. And I think that's definitely what's been addictive for me as well. Is big family, lots of busyness, and just that's my time to get my headspace right and sort of just work through the day and the goals ahead, right? You mentioned that ice swimming took it up a level. Can you maybe just elaborate a bit on that?
Look,
other than the obvious.
Look, I can't really explain it, guys, but you would understand what I mean when I say that you're so you're concentrating so hard on living, on trying to stay alive, that I guess there's no more room in your head for distractions. Is that you literally have to concentrate on your breathing. Whatever else is going on at that particular time, whether it's it's rough or what it is, and you just don't have. Well, I just feel like I just don't have the room for the other stuff, and the other stuff has to stay on the shore until I get back. And a lot of the times, I feel like if I've done a good set or whatever, that the stuff that seemed important on the shore, I can deal with a lot better when I get back, because I've had that time that is as raw as it can be. There's nothing else, as raw as being in nature and literally trying to survive. And I think, it's one of those situations, whether it's the beginning of the day or whatever it is, where you're swimming in this environment and, the sun's coming up and you look around and you sort of think to yourself, look, even though it's probably not true, I feel like I'm the only person in the world doing this right now. And that in itself is a huge, sort of boost for me to be able to, confront anything that comes towards me in the day.
I so get that. So often when you're out there and you just think, how lucky am I to be out there, and why is the sea not full of people? Yeah,
exactly. And then that car rego you've got to get sorted out, or the whatever it is, just seems like nothing. Whereas before you got in the water, you could feel. I can feel that adrenaline starting to pump, because I know that I've got so many things ahead of me. But that goes away when I get in the water, which I love. And the cold, as I said, it makes it even. It clears my head even more. And there's no going back, as far as I'm concerned. Once you get in the cold, and you figure out, the process, and the process is that you've got to get past that stage, and you've got to get used to the chill. But once you get used to the chill, it's the best feeling in the world, mate. There's no going back after that. It's addictive, as you know.
So your trip out to New Zealand earlier in the year was your first sort of official ice competition?
Correct. Well, I hadn't swum in anything less than 8 degrees Celsius before that.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so there's quite a big difference between 8 degrees and you must have done your swims in 2.5, just under 2.5 degrees in Alex?
I did, yeah.
It's a bit of a shocker, yeah?
Yeah, and you look, it was really nerve-wracking as you would expect, because you don't know how your body's going to react. I guess you can have all the best intentions in the world in your head, but if your brain doesn't want to, if your body doesn't want to play the game, then what do you do? And that's fairly nerve-wracking. And then there's that whole question of what does that look like as well. And I saw some of that while I was there. Between yourself and Sue and a couple of other people, that you pushed yourselves past that point and had to be really, looked at carefully and then, looked afterwards. And that's scary in itself, because you think, I don't know, if I could handle that. So look, the experience that I had in Alexandria was awesome. The best part for me was that first 250-meter swim, because I thought, "Ooh, I think I can do this," which was the mentally the hardest part.
Jim, I've got one more question, then I'll hand over to you. A lot of guys said that 200. So for the listeners' benefit, there's a 250, there's a 500, there's a 1,000, and you've got to do them in that order to like sort of tick the block and be safe to swim the higher distance. But there was a couple of people that said the 250-meter swim was harder than the kilometer for whatever reason, right? Maybe it was a shock to the system, or the first time that they had sort of, I guess, experienced a little bit of distance in the cold. Did you find that at all?
I found the hardest race of my time there was the 100-meter freestyle.
Okay.
And I just couldn't catch my breath. And I guess that was obviously trying to go out too hard. And we'd been told about that, but you don't really know what that means until you do it yourself. And I think I swam 50 metres okay, and then it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I just couldn't breathe. And I literally thought at one stage within the 100 metres that I was going to have to put my feet on the ground and stand up. But I didn't feel that at all in the 1,000. I guess because I'd already experienced that, but then also the 1,000, as you guys said to us, do not go out hard. Just swim your own swim, which I guess is similar to the 250, because that's it's a distance, but you can do it a bit faster if you want to compared to the 1,000. And I think losing that ability to breathe was the biggest thing, and that's the short distance stuff. Yeah.
You've got to really be confident in the people around you on the pool deck and that medical sort of facility that's looking after you, right? Because you want to be able to concentrate on your swim and not have to worry about anything else, to your point earlier about why you enjoy it, right? But yeah.
But I guess the catch 22 with the shorter distances is that it's a race. And everyone has that competitive spirit. That's what really, if I'd had my time again, I would have swum that 100 metres completely differently. I wouldn't have cared about the race. I would have just swum it so I could breathe.
What do your mates in Broken Hill say when you tell them you've been to an ice champs? I mean, they must think that you're crazy. Yeah,
they do. But believe it or not, there's a bit of excitement behind it. There's a couple of people who are interested. So nice. I'm coming back to New Zealand next year at St. Bathans. Hopefully, I'll see you guys there. And I'm going to bring a couple of people with me. So we've got and this is another side. This is another part of swimming, is that we've got great kids in our club, but the kids get to a certain age, and I think they ask themselves, what is the point of this? Why am I doing it? I'm not going to make the Olympics, but I'm up and down, just getting hammered. And, other things come into their lives, like, university and the end of high school and, social activities, this, that, and the other. So I think we lose most of our swimmers when they turn about 15, 16. So one of the things that I want to do is give some of those swimmers the ability to be able to see what else is out there in swimming. And also one of the things I think is really important for young kids is to take that skill of swimming with them throughout their lives. You don't have to be an Olympic swimmer, but you can still keep that passion that you have for swimming with you, and either use it for fun, fitness, or some other avenue within swimming circles. And no one out here had ever heard of ice swimming before. So next year, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, you're going to meet two young kids, 16-year-old kids, Molly and Oliver, and they have never sat in an ice bath, and that starts tomorrow. They swam in I think it was, they did a lap of the pool in the middle of winter, which was 12 degrees, and it was pretty hard. But these are two of the kids with the biggest hearts I've seen for a long time. So I know they'll do it, and they're really excited. So yeah,
awesome.
Hopefully we'll see you next year in St. Bathans.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
Very
and look, one of the things that's pretty cool about this particular scenario is that they'll be the youngest Australians to have ever done ice swimming. I know that you guys have got some really young swimmers over there, but again, it's not something that has really been on the radar here. So these two kids will be the youngest, and another exciting thing is as soon as they touch the water, they'll be Australian record holders, which is pretty cool.
There you go. Awesome, man. just bear in mind, we made the mistake when we first started. We had a really great swimmer, Caitlin O'Reilly, who you might know. She's done the Triple Crown in New Zealand. She swam the Cook Strait when she was 12.
Wow. Yep.
Awesome swimmer, right? Has she finished Ocean 7 now, Jim?
No, she's just got one more to go.
She's got one more to go, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but we took her down to the South Island, and she swam an ice mile, which was not ratified because she was under 18 years old.
Wow.
She's not recognised for that swim. But 250, 500, 1,000 under 18 is all good. They will be recognised and are allowed to do that, but a mile, not.
Yeah, no, I've already spoken to them and told them that from what I can see, they won't be allowed to do the 1,000, but they can do everything up to 1,000. Is that right, guys? Yeah. Which I think is a really good introduction.
That was Maddie's story. Maddie Hobo, she was up for 1,000, but was only allowed to do the 500, and essentially she said that was probably a good call. That was probably further than she should have attempted, so she was quite happy with that.
Yeah, look, it's definitely an exciting prospect, but I'm also very much aware that you've got to be careful with this sport. There's no mucking around with it, and the rules are put in place to keep everyone safe, and we completely we completely appreciate that.
It's going to be really good to have a whole group of young people doing the same sport. I had the similar experience to swimming, but in surf lifesaving. As soon as people are getting to the end of school and they're starting getting jobs, and they've got to choose between going and earning some money or going and doing training, it gets really hard for them. And I think you need to have a really good community. You need to have something to make the whole experience fun for them. Especially if you're not going to be on the absolute peak, if you're not going to the Olympics or something like that, there has to be other reasons, and really that's having the right people around you.
Well, look, in Australia, the experience is that only 1% of swimmers make it to the big time, and only 1% of those 1% make it to the Olympics. And in Australia, the crazy thing is that the Australian government pays our Olympic swimmers around $30,000 a year to be professional swimmers, which really is ridiculous.
Can't survive off that, eh?
No. So you're never going to be a millionaire being a swimmer, and so these kids do need to know that there is a big world of swimming out there other than swimming up and down a pool.
Hey, Ben, so you mentioned you started swimming, because the kids were involved. So I'm assuming that would be, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago-ish?
Look, probably I started swimming properly about just under 3 years ago now.
Okay.
With that English Channel relay invitation. Yeah.
Got you. So I mean, you're obviously, from a career perspective and just generally, you're fit and active and healthy. What did you do before swimming?
I've always done the gym, and I played team sports and things like that. I'd done a bit of swimming at school, but just the school carnival, nothing major. And look, I still have a love-hate relationship with swimming, as we probably all do. I look at these kids next to me, and I just think, how are you going so quick? And I'm trying to pull the whole ocean behind me in one go, and I can't get anywhere near them. but you just have to. I guess you just have to be at peace with the sort of swimmer that you are, and I am, and I know that you are, Duncan, because mate, some of that swimming that I saw there at Alexandra, I'll tell you. No, I'm only joking.
I got offered by 4 separate people for some coaching advice, and my answer to them was, you know what, I've been swimming for 25 years. I managed to go at a pace that I'm happy with, and I've never been injured, so it can't be all bad, right?
No, exactly, mate, exactly. And you know what? That's the way it is. I know that I know my pace, and I'm comfortable with it, and that's all there is to it.
I can relate.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does an average swimming week look like for you, Ben? Training wise.
Yeah, look, training wise, I try to get to the pool when I haven't got something, some sort of a competition that I'm training for. Try to get to the pool probably 3 times a week, and I'll do weights in the gym in the other days, and I'll usually train probably 3 kilometres a session. And that a lot of the times is maybe 3 1,000s, or I might break it up into 3,100s or something like that. But when it comes to training for something like the channel, or in this case training for you guys, then I'm open to to getting some sets and upping my cardio and really getting my heart rate up and stuff like that. But in the meantime, most of the time, it's I'm sitting in my heart rate's around the 140 mark, and I'm quite happy just to cruise at the 140 mark and just enjoy my time in the water. But yeah, try to do. It's one of those mental things. I don't know if you guys have it, but I won't swim anything less than 3Ks because then I feel like I haven't swum.
Jim definitely doesn't have that, man. I just want to get my eyebrows wet, is what he says every week.
Mate, sometimes I don't get much beyond that.
I've got a friend who will swim 2,975 meters and be quite happy. And it's like an OCD thing. I can't do it. It has to be round numbers. I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. 100%. You've got to do another lap, man. Yeah.
Exactly.
What I was trying to get to was I was really interested in your experience on doing that relay channel swim. And just hearing a bit more about that. That sounds like a really cool experience.
Yeah, look, it was. So we had a team of 6. And the idea is that you swim 1 hour each, and then you rotate through the sequence again. If one person doesn't finish their hour or can't jump back in for their swim, then the whole team's disqualified. And so although it doesn't seem difficult on paper, if you know anything about the English Channel, is that it's a very there's a lot of tide issues in the English Channel. It's a very strong piece of water. You can be swimming with the tide, and one of my friends was swimming with the tide, and she swam at 6 kilometres an hour. And then you can be swimming against the tide, which I was, and a couple of my teammates were, and you're either swimming on the spot or you're swimming backwards. And that's the hard part about it, is that, again, the other side of it is that you can see land, and then suddenly Mother Nature takes land away from you. And then you have to, I guess, dig into your mental reserves to say, we can keep going. We have to keep going. But they call it the swimmer's graveyard. It's a point just off France where it appears that France is really, really close, and then the tide turns and starts to push you away from France, and that's where a lot of people don't make it. So we had a relatively good swim, although our last couple of swimmers got absolutely hammered in that swimmers' graveyard, and we made it just, but if we hadn't made it where we would have made it, or where we landed, we would have swum probably another 3 or 4 hours on top of the swim that we had. So Brendan, my mate that I was telling you about, we swam our relay in 13 hours and 15 minutes, and he swam his solo because he missed the Cape. He swam his solo in 17 hours. So you can imagine the mental fortitude that you need to be able to, I guess, just say to yourself, right, I thought I was there, but I'm not. And guess what? I've got another 4 hours to go. But as far as the relay was concerned, it was an amazing experience. We got a really good taste of what it would be like to be a solo swimmer without actually being a solo swimmer. And look, to be honest with you, I just don't think that I could do that. And I take my hat off to those people that can swim massive distances. And I know you guys have got some huge distances over there, including the Cook Straits. And it's just, I just take my hat off to the people that could do that. Mentally, would have to be some of the toughest people on earth.
Ben,
Definitely.
never say never, dude. It's early days in your swim career. It's only been 3 years. I'll give you another couple of years, and I reckon we'll have you swim in a Lake Taupo or a Cook Strait.
Well, mate,
I can tell.
You certainly got me inspired, and as far as the ice swimming is concerned, and I think I'm gonna give that mile a go. So it's official.
Nice.
I've said it now, so I have to do it.
Nice, man.
Good. That's awesome.
So, funny enough, driving to work this morning, I had some friends of ours who are. One of them is an ice swimmer. The other one is not, but Nev Fisher and Ellie Williams, Jim. They were sitting in England for the last week, waiting for a window to do a relay relay swim. And I got a note this morning on my way to work saying, "Hey guys, window's over, no swim. We're on the way back home." So, that's a whole different sort of issue, right? They've trained their butts off.
Yep.
They've sat there, waited, all ready to rock and roll, and to not even get a swim is, for me, probably even more difficult than having to swim on the spot, like you say, and having a long, hard slog. So at least you guys got it done.
100% agree, and that's what people who don't know about the channel don't realise is that you were allocated a window, and the window is a week. However, it's not just your window; it's also maybe 5 other people's windows. So we were very lucky. We were spot number 2, and so you're guided by what the people before you have done. So, for example, spot 1 went out on time. So, and we knew the forecast was looking okay. So there was a pretty good chance that we were going to get a swim. However, if spot 1 doesn't go till day 4 and you're spot 3, the chances of you getting a swim are pretty low. And obviously that's what's happened with your friends. And what people don't realise is that you pay everything. Except you may get a slight amount of money back for your pilot, but you're talking chicken feed when you've already paid for flights, accommodation, a year's worth of training, your coach, everything that goes with it, nutrition, blah, blah, blah. But I guess, that's part of, and it's easy for me to say because I've had my swim, but I guess that's part of the challenge of being a channel swimmer is that do you say to yourself, you're not going to win, I'm coming back next year? But it's tough, definitely, when you had your heart set on it. Yeah.
I've had one experience with that. I was trained up for in hindsight, it's not a very long swim, but it was a long swim for me at the time. It was a 10K swim, and we trained for a whole season, and we went down there, and it was the whole event was called off due to the weather, and it wasn't such a big deal for me, but two of the people that went down with us just had never considered the fact that this might actually happen. And they were absolutely gutted. It was just something they hadn't considered was going to happen. So, yeah.
Well, I guess ice, in ice swimming, the equivalent to that is our magic 5 degrees, isn't it? And I remember when we came over to Alexandra, there was on the chat there was different comments about what the water temperature was, and I think one of the comments was 6 degrees, and I started thinking, oh my God, I'd really get frustrated if I came over and it wasn't the right temperature. But I also could have wrecked it for myself. Now, I don't know. I don't think I've told you this story, guys. You remember how we had the medical on the night before our swims? Yeah. Well, I wasn't aware that we were having a medical the night before. I just presumed that we'd had our medical 6 months beforehand. We'd had our ECG and it was all good. And obviously we drove from Christchurch to Alexandra in the one day. So obviously I had 3 coffees and a Red Bull in the car. And then they sat down and they took my blood pressure. And I remember one of the girls, was taking my blood pressure, was just looking at me going, what is going on with you? And I'm like, oh, and then she said, if you don't get this heart rate down, you're not swimming. And I started panicking. And then she said, well, you're going to have to go home and, we'll do it again tomorrow and try and have a really good sleep. And I'm just, my head was going 1,000 miles an hour. And when I got back in the morning, she looked at me and she said, and how was your sleep? And I looked at her and I said, well, how do you think it was? I didn't sleep a bloody wink. Put the thing on my arm, put the blood pressure thing on my arm. And luckily I passed, but I won't be doing that again.
I think that blood pressure machine wasn't correctly calibrated. Everybody was high.
Oh, mate, I tell you, it scared me. So for all the first timers out there, 3 coffees and a Red Bull, don't do it.
If I can, so maybe I've got 2 questions, Jim. I'm quite curious on before we leave the relay scenario, and then I want to go back to ice. But on the relay swim, being in the water and getting cold and then coming out and sort of rewarming, and almost mentally having sort of said, hey, I've done my swim, I can rest, I can recover, and then having to rebuild yourself up and get back in again is mentally tough as well. Did you manage to rewarm completely, and how did that scenario work for you?
Yeah, look, the rewarming wasn't so bad. It depends at what time you swim the channel. We swam the channel in September, and the water temperature, I think, was about 16 degrees, which, or it might have even been more. It might have been 17 or 18.
Okay.
So
pretty
again,
crazy, yeah.
Yeah, look, for what we're used to, it's pretty good. And so if you're swimming for an hour, in 18 degrees, it's not too bad. But saying that, it's not everyone is that lucky. So yes, there is the rewarming factor, but luckily enough, that wasn't a huge issue for us. But we had other issues that we had to get over, which is obviously fatigue, motion sickness, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that people don't. Yeah,
motion sickness tablets. Yeah.
Yeah, I did, because I had a bit of a scare before the actual swim. I never thought that it was possible to get motion sick whilst you're swimming, and I learned that lesson the hard way. It just wasn't even on my radar. I thought, motion sickness from the boat, but not from the swimming. But it certainly is a reality. So one of the things we were told to do was to take those swimming tablets, and they worked.
Did you feed the fish?
Yes, well and truly.
Yeah, and that's actually quite a scary feeling when you're busy throwing up and you're treading water. It's not a happy space, eh?
Yeah, look, and the when I had that experience, it was dark. It was the middle of the night, early morning, and I was in a location which I didn't know very well. So there's that factor as well, and you start to think, where am I? Where's the wave coming from? I've got to breathe. I'm trying to throw up and breathe at the same time. So yeah, it can play with your mind. But I have to say that once it's done, it's a good feeling because you feel good after it.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, if you told me 12 months ago that seasickness was a thing while swimming, I wouldn't have believed you. But I do now.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. Had you trained in the dark prior to your channel?
Yeah, a little bit. Nothing major, but we had to do a qualifying swim. And our qualifying swim was in the Port Phillip Bay area of Melbourne, and it went. I believe we swam for 5 hours. I think it was.
Wow.
And we started at night time. Swam around the marina, which was open water, and obviously the waves were hitting us on the side, which I found really disconcerting. I don't mind swimming into waves or even swimming with waves, but hitting me on the side, I didn't enjoy that at all.
Do you breathe both sides?
I do. But I didn't because I found that one side wasn't working for me, which was again that was a really a strange thing with the English Channel as well. Is that if you breathe to one side and that's all you can breathe, is that you're going to have issues because the boat tries to protect you from the weather, and it might be on the left-hand side on 1 minute and it might be on the right-hand side on the other minute. So you have to be able to breathe both sides, and you have to be able to breathe just to the one side or the other side if required as well, because you don't want to be opening your mouth when there's a wave coming. So it's something that I reckon I was lucky. I was fortunate because I could breathe both sides. But certainly for a new swimmer to the channel, I'd certainly say that if you can't breathe both sides, it's something that you should be practicing.
Yeah. So a question from me. You would have probably done almost all your training in a pool. How much open water swimming had you managed to do before you went and did your English Channel?
Not a huge amount. We did one, as I said, we did the qualifier, but we also did a swim in Sydney from Bondi to Watson's Bay. So Bondi out into the ocean along the cliffs, and then back into the harbour. That was a really nice swim until we got to the mouth of the harbour, and then we hit the winds. And so it was a really good training swim because we got everything all in one swim. We got really nice, we got rolly, and then we got hammered. So it was a really good swim. But apart from that, no, mate, I hadn't done any open water swimming at all, except for maybe a short lake swim. So yeah, all pool stuff. Because out here, where I live, the only swimming environment is the pool. The closest open water is a place called Menindee Lakes, which is about 120 kilometres away. So you can get there, but it's not as easy as just leaving your house and jumping in the water. So the pool is the main environment that we train in. Yeah, you guys are very lucky. We're pretty lucky out here as far as the pool's concerned. We've got a 50-metre pool, outdoor 50-metre pool, and in the same complex we've also got a 25-metre indoor pool. Nice. So yeah, we're really lucky. We complain sometimes, but we've got no reason to complain. It's a great setup. Hey, while we're on the podcast, can I just throw a quick shout out to Brent, who we met. I met down at Alexandra. Obviously, Brent, and he's been absolutely smashing his swimming goals lately. And I saw that thing online where he's been doing some crazy underwater swimming and all that kind of stuff. Yep. So well done, Brent. And I know he's one of your clever dicks. You gave him the award while we were down there, and absolute legend. So good stuff. Well done.
Yeah, he's a legend. He's done so well, hey.
Yeah.
And again, I think swimming's probably helped him as much sort of mentally and emotionally and as what it has physically, right? So that's awesome to see. Yeah, cool guy.
Yeah, legend. Can't wait
Cool
to see him
guy.
again. Hopefully he's in St. Bathans.
I'm pretty sure he'll be there, eh?
Yeah, cool.
I think he's addicted, eh?
Yeah, nice.
So what's on the bucket list?
Mate, look, I don't really know. I'm still trying to figure out what sort of swimmer I am. I guess that's a really cool position to be in. Like you guys and like many other swimmers. I'm not 18 years old. I took up this sport late in life. But I think it gave me a new lease on life in a lot of ways. First of all, the reason I love swimming is because you can do it till you're 98 years old. So I found a sport that I don't have to stop just because I'm getting older, and therefore I'm a rookie, and I've only been swimming for a short period of time, and I don't know what my swimming future looks like. But what I do know is that I've met some amazing people, had a great time. I've already ticked a couple of pretty cool, ticks, boxes. And I'd love to do an ice mile. And then as far as where we go from there, look, I don't know. I really don't. But, the best thing about this community is that things keep popping up. And one thing that I've learned, since leaving the police, since transitioning into my new life, is that if ever an opportunity presents itself, don't knock it back. Just grab it and go. So, yeah, I'll wait and see what comes up, mate. Wait and see.
That's some great advice, man. But like I said, we will definitely see you for your ASMA. We will be there to look after you and document it. But your rookie component, I can remember being in your scenario many years ago, and what you're probably going to find is that you'll travel a direction. In this particular case, it's ice swimming and it's cold water swimming, and you'll tick a whole bunch of blocks there, and then you'll decide, hey, here's an opportunity to, I don't know, do the rock nest swim or whatever it is,
Yep.
and you'll sort of, your path will change a little bit. But from a mental perspective and a physical perspective, you've got the body of a good marathon swimmer. You're built strong. You're not built like a stick like Jim. Jim's built like a ballerina. Jim. But it'll be really nice to watch what the next couple of years has got in store for you, and hopefully you can bring a couple of your boys along with you as well and do the journey together.
Yeah, look, I hope so, and the relationship that we've made, Aussies and New Zealanders, is great, and I think it's something that I'd really love to show the younger generation, that there is, as I said, there is a world of swimming outside of the Broken Hill pool.
Yeah, man, and also just outside of the pool, right? I mean, triathlon, open water swimming, lake swimming, whatever it is, it's just keep swimming. You don't have to race, right?
Exactly.
And I think if you can make that happen, you've done the job.
Yeah. But no, look, thanks very much for having me and all that, and thanks for, I guess, also taking not just me but everyone that gets involved in this particular sport under your wing. New Zealand is very special. You guys have a great community over there, and I'm just learning about our community here in Australia, and I'm presuming that it's similar in other places in the world. But look, what you guys do over there, and what you put on, the show that you guys put on with Sue and everyone else that was involved in that New Zealand carnival that we attended, is made us a credit. It's a real credit, and it's possibly and probably one of the reasons why ice swimming is becoming so popular.
That's nice to hear. Thank you so much for those kind words.
Yeah, I have to say it was really awesome having so many people from Australia come over and join us in Alexandra. That was super cool. I mean, everyone was just wonderful people. Even Joy, who just came over to volunteer, despite the fact she was an ice swimmer.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. No, real good fun.
It's really good
Cool.
to chat, Ben. Thank you so much. And yeah, good luck with the swimming, and thanks for being Ben.
No worries, and thank you guys. And I look forward to catching up. And in the meantime, I'll keep in touch. Yeah, cool. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Take it easy, man.
Bye.
Have a good evening. Yeah.
You too, guys. See ya. Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Ciao.
Well, thanks for listening. We need more swimmers like Ben around. As always, if you've got any suggestions or just want to say kia ora, just drop us a line at cleverdixnz@gmail.com, or you can leave us a message on our Instagram account. Okay, see you soon. Bye.